and welcome to the second episode of the School Podcast. Our names are Ylva, Carina, and I am Lena, and we are students of the 7B class. Today, in this episode, we are going to tell you more about what is going on at our school right now. We will also give you some tips for maintaining a climate-friendly lifestyle, and we will also address mental health in adolescence. But first, I am going to start with telling you more about how students deal with the partial lockdown imposed by the government, and then I will give you a short review of the online open house day of our school. It happened again. Schools are facing their fourth lockdown and students have to stay at home. Or don't they? Well, following the government's announcement on Thursday, the 18th November, that Austria will shut down the public life for the fourth time, not only parents but also students were left vastly irritated over conflicting statements of different politicians on school. After a full week of contradictory information, officials finally declared that face-to-face teaching in classrooms will continue despite the fact that attendance is not compulsory. But how does this model even work out in the day-to-day school life of the VRG-ORG students? Well, with the decision whether to go to school being delegated to parents and students, we have to face a hard choice about what to do. We have to ponder the impact of missing out on important parts of the curriculum and the risk of getting infected. In our school, most of the pupils have opted for in-classroom teaching, as the rate of new infections in our school has been low for the past 2 weeks thanks to a targeted isolation of people that had contact with positive tested ones. High numbers of confirmed COVID cases in Upper Austria and the partial school lockdown weren't able to stop us to grant interested pupils of other schools and, of course, their parents a comprehensive insight into the classes and projects of the VRG-ORG within the frame of an online open house day. Committed teachers, as well as our motivated principal, presented a huge variety of different subjects, ranging from foreign languages all the way over to science-related topics. Additionally, the didactic and educational concepts and ongoing projects of our school were introduced. After receiving loads of information, obviously, our principal also answered all the questions of parents and hopefully future students of the VRG-ORG. If you have missed out on this online event and you still want to learn more about our grammar school, don't worry. Just visit vrgorg.at and look for further impressions under the heading Tag der offenen Tür. Now, I may ask Carina to give us some helpful tips on how to maintain a sustainable life.
Thank you, Lena. Well, while we are all just in the middle of the fourth corona wave, which is inflamed by the new Omicron mutant on the one side, and also tackled by the highly disputed national compulsory vaccination, we almost forget that there is an even bigger and even more global nightmare overshadowing our planet. And I'm of course talking about the global issue of climate change. It is already affecting most territories on this planet directly, but all territories are already affected indirectly. We could experience that fact for example during the last summer, when a real wave of bushfires hit large parts of southern Europe. Meanwhile, international experts on this issue agree that climate protection has to be executed on 3 levels, which all have to intermesh. Firstly, there is the political level, by introducing legal framework. Secondly, there is the economic and technical level, which has to provide more green energy, energy efficiency, as well as sustainable agriculture, transport systems, and more sustainable industry in general. And last but not least, it is each of us and all our households who have to contribute to all these above-mentioned measures. That's why I want to mention a number of ideas how each of us and our families can contribute to a more sustainable lifestyle. One thing which we should all obey is think globally, buy regionally, and live locally. This, of course, means that sustainability already starts with our daily shopping for food and groceries, as well as our general consumer behavior. It is an interesting fact, for example, that about 1/3 of our economic footprint is due to our nutrition. That's why we should decide for more regional and seasonal food. Another sad fact is that far too much food lands in our litter bins every year. The second large area in which every person can contribute to climate protection is transport. Apart from greener technologies like hydrogen or electric vehicles, we should make use of public transport more often. One highly interesting statistic, for example, is the fact that calculated on 100 kilometers, going by train is 27 times more environmentally friendly than going by car. And for shorter distances, we should definitely use our bikes more often. A third large area which affects every household is heating. There are still a lot of central heating systems which are fired by fossil fuels like coal, oil, or gas. It is expensive for families to change these facilities to renewable energies like pellets, solar panels, or thermal heating, but there are funding pots provided by the government, for example. Another point I want to address is fast fashion. Here is where you can really make a difference. While it can be tempting sometimes to pick up dozens of pieces of clothing for a little money, a far better use of your funds is to save up and purchase 1 or 2 high-quality items. These high-quality items will last far longer than fast fashion options. They are eventually saving your money over time, and they are reducing your carbon footprint. Last but not least, there's waste separation, which is already done exemplary by most households anyway, but there is still far too much plastic because we don't avoid it when buying food, for example. More than 10 million tons of waste end up in the oceans every year. They cost the lives of thousands upon thousands of marine animals. Seabirds, for example, mistake plastic for natural food. Dolphins get caught in old fishing nets. That is why hardly any threat to the oceans is as visible today as pollution from plastic waste. Living sustainably is important for several reasons. Most urgent is that we cannot exploit the environment anymore for its natural resources. The UN Environment Programme says that by 2050, we will need 3 planets to sustain our current lifestyles. Unless somebody is working to create more than one planet Earth, something really needs to change. And that is where you come in. The changes you make to your everyday living, including conserving energy at home and reducing your consumption in general, play a huge role in how we will be able to reinvigorate our planet's health. Now I would ask Ylva to present her topic, mental health.
Thank you, Carina. Now, last but not least, to the surprise part of our podcast episode about mental health. Let's start with a short definition. What does the term mental health mean? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it affects how we think, feel, and act. Unfortunately, the mental health of adolescents has deteriorated drastically in the past 2 years, which is proven by several studies and surveys. A common reason might be the COVID-19 pandemic, which affects all of us. Nowadays, teenagers don't just have to deal with problems like breakups, family issues, food disorders, feeling uncomfortable in their own body and much more, but also with issues like being in lockdown, not seeing their friends for weeks or even months, constantly being alone with themselves, no face-to-face teaching, however the tests are not cancelled in most cases. Not to forget about the uncertainty when all of that will finally be over, which makes everything just more endless and hopeless. But no matter how dark everything looks right now, please always remember, you are not alone. Everybody has problems. Some people just hide them better than others. But absolutely nothing's wrong with you. We are all in a critical situation right now. And nobody is living their perfect life and you are the only one struggling. That's just not reality. You are enough. You do enough. You have enough. You do not need to gain or lose weight in order to be beautiful. You do not need to buy clothes from a certain brand just to be accepted by society. You do not need to be more like that one person you always compare yourself with. You are already perfect, just the way you are. You do not need to change yourself. Nothing's wrong with you, no matter who wants to persuade you otherwise. You are enough, and you do not need to change anything about yourself. Now, some tips on how to improve your mental health daily. First of all, do you know if you are an introverted or extroverted person? So, if you gain or lose energy from social interaction? The next point is talking to other people about your problems and saying them out loud, which can make a huge difference. Thirdly, write down all of your feelings, for example in a bullet journal, and especially by hand, can make you feel way better afterwards. The next point is moving your body, especially in nature, which is, by the way, also extremely healthy. For example, you could go for a walk or basically ride your bike. And the last point is that you always have to ask yourself what is best for you. What do you need right now? How do you feel right now? What does your body need right now? And according to those answers, you have to take care of yourself like you would take care of a person you love. Be patient and give yourself time. And the smallest things, like eating a special meal, calling your friend, or a hug from one of your comfort people, could really make your day. So, always remember, you have enough, you do enough, and you are enough. Keep your head up. I'm so proud of every single one of you. If you have any questions about our podcast in general or a specific topic we talked about, just contact us via Teams. We look forward to hear from you. I wish you all an amazing day. Thank you all very much for listening.